Staying with election news, the African Transformation Movement is launching its election manifesto today in Soweto. Now, the party, which is represented in Parliament, hopes to increase its vote share in this year's elections. Some live visuals there for you as leaders of political parties continue their lengthy progressions around the country, drumming up support ahead of the general elections in May. That is, of course, the ATM gearing up to start its election manifesto. For more on the story now, we bring in our reporter, Canny Maphanga, who joins us for a live update. Canny, thank you so much for your time. So what can we expect from the ATM manifesto launch today?
Well, good morning to you, Xolisi, and to the viewers at home. Indeed, scores of buses have descended on Soweto at the Jabulani Amphitheatre, where hundreds and even thousands, I could estimate, and still counting, that are making their way through this amphitheatre, will be coming here together to hear the message of ATM leader Vuyo Zungula, a 6-year-old political party that enjoys 2 seats in the National Assembly, at least 4 in the provincial legislature, and at least over 50 seats in local government after they've participated in the 2019 elections as well as the 2021 local government elections. Well, it's another day in Xolisi, in another manifesto. What we can expect here is a number of ideas that speak to the various challenges that we have been experiencing 30 years into democracy. But to elaborate more on ATM's message today, I am joined by ATM NEC member Catherine Moji here at the Jabulani Amphitheatre as the program is well underway. If you could highlight the key priorities for ATM as it presents its manifesto at a critical time in the country, what would you give the viewers at home to listen to?
Thank you very much for having us. As the African Transformation Movement, and Vuyo Zungula, our president, the honorable member of the ATM, has been going around, and he was even in Limpopo unpicking the manifesto, where we are looking at critical positions of where the country is at, taking into consideration, the strides that we have made in a democratic country, but we also take into consideration the gaps that we still have. You're talking about illegal immigrants that are in influx in the country, that impacts negatively on the unemployment rate of the youth, and also the issue of the curriculum and the education system that is in South Africa, where the young people are displaced because the education that we get does not really give us space in the employment. So it basically means that even if we do find ourselves in institutions of higher learning, but we are not guaranteed a job, and it cannot be, because the Constitution outlines exactly what the government is supposed to be doing. We are at a stage where load shedding is a norm. We have critical persons in hospitals, but they need to rely on the government whether or not to give us electricity. So those are some of the things that Vuyo Zungula was going to be speaking to today, particularly focusing on the young people of South Africa, being a young leader himself.
Thank you very much. I see you've mentioned migration, which is expected to be one of the major topics of the 2024 polls. And there's a sensitivity around that to address this matter quite sensibly without scapegoating. What is ATM proposing with this issue of illegal migration in the country?
It is very simple. The government should implement the policies that are there, because we've got wonderful policies. But the government, the ruling party right now, does not implement those. We do not have an issue with legal immigrants, but we are of the view that you need to safeguard the sovereignty of the country, because it cannot be that, the stats of census in 2023 was saying that there's like about 500 people new that are coming in the country, particularly in the city of Johannesburg, daily. You can have so many people that you do not know where they're coming from. We've got the health sector at a collapse. We've got the unemployment rate. Things, the infrastructure is dilapidated, and nobody is taking account, but yet we have policies. We are of a strong view that as the ATM, it is time for us to remove the government, because we know that when we implement the policies, we will be able to safeguard the borders and be able to have people that are only coming in on the basis of scarce skills, those that are going to contribute positively to the economy, but not come here and sell small things and skills such as, your barbers, because we do have people, we've got the unemployed youth that can be doing that, but the government has not been willing to close the recently the story that for people to traffic country and to bring in drugs. And this is where we see our brothers right now currently being called Amapara. But the government is there. It's always been there. You will never talk even in the parliament about the drug traffic that comes here. We saw back in 2020, the times of COVID, where, SANDF were deployed in communities. Just for buying a loaf of bread, you'd get severely punished. But you've got communities that are ruled by gangsters. You've got drug dealers, and nobody's doing anything about that. But we are saying that with the policies that we have, it's very clear us to continue having a good relationship with our neighboring countries, because we do not want to live as an island, but we are saying that we need to get our house in order so that we can be able to accommodate our brothers that are coming from other countries.
Lastly, very quickly, the position on wanting to return the death penalty. Does that position remain in ATM, and how does that fit in a constitutional democracy such as South Africa as we reflect on it 30 years and beyond?
We as the ATM are of a strong view of that. The constitution of the country does not really represent what we as indigenous people of South Africa stand for. We also know that we were not really involved when it was crafted. So we have things that we would like to get rid of from the constitution. We need to amend the constitution. The first one being recognizing customary and indigenous laws, wherein we will have mechanisms and ways to deal with crime and many other punishable offences without necessarily having to the Roman Dutch law, because it does not reflect. So indigenous laws, in a certain manner, but it would never mean that a person needs to be done away with in the community. We are saying that when we amend the constitution, the position of a death penalty, which is a justice-based capital punishment, is the one that's going to be looked into, where there's going to be a panel of judges that are going to look into the matter before you are convicted.
All right, thank you very much. That was ATM NEC member Catherine Maji, seemingly sticking to the stance the ATM has towards the death penalty. Now, I want to step out of frame to give you a view of the ATM manifesto ahead of it being delivered by its leader, Vuya Zungula. We don't know the exact time that he will be delivering that address, but as you can see, it's packed to the rafters here at the Jabulani as they eagerly await the main keynote address of Mr. Vuya Zungula, the leader of ATM, ahead of those all-important 2024 polls. Studio.
Canny Maphanga, there's our reporter watching that story for us. Thank you very much indeed for that update, and we're keeping a keen eye on it. As you can see that some of the ATM supporters as well have gathered right now at that stadium, filling it up to listen in on that address by the leader. And we'll be taking you there as and when it happens.